Hey guys, welcome for my Kickstarter version of the AMA. Right now, this is the only part of my basement that is not a complete and total mess. Chris will probably show you here in a second, but we have a lovely little shipping staging area in my basement right now, and on the other side of the camera is a stack of cardboard boxes nearly as tall as me. But we're working through the Kickstarters as quickly as we can, and as you can see, I'm not stopping even for the AMA.
All right, so we can go ahead and kick things off here. As always, we're going to start with the Patreon questions first. First up, from RBabSB, they asked, how would you rank the main characters of your series in terms of how powerful they are?
RBabSB, that's a good question. Everyone loves in the Marvel universe to pit the superheroes against each other, right? So if I were to do that, unfortunately, I do think Dar does come out ahead, because canonically for my 3 series that are connected, he's sort of a god of creation. I think then Miles might be in second. He can control all forms of energy, and that's pretty darn powerful. Zach might come in there soon after, and then I think Isaac, Ken, and Ard are on a significantly lower power level. Ard probably might beat the other 2 out, but I actually think Ken is probably my weakest main character.
So next up is from Omen, who asks, what are your thoughts on how you've developed as a writer over the last few years, and what are your goals to continue your growth as an author in the years to come?
My development as a writer, generally speaking, I do try and interact and continue some sort of development as a writer. I was quite literally yesterday laying in bed reading Jim Butcher's theory on some writing. I do try and keep it up. I am very interested in it. And even if I'm returning to concepts that I've said before or that I've read before, oftentimes I'm at a new point in my career and they make a very different impact. So it just continue to learn, continue to surround myself with other people that want to learn. I'm taking a class on tension in October, for example, and I'll continue to take small little weekend classes on writing things.
All right. So this one's sort of more of a housekeeping thing. This is from Scarlet Chemist, and I've seen a couple people ask questions like this, so I figured we would just answer one of them here so we could point to the video next time. They asked, do you have an update on the dungeon diving series, and if the people that owned them before the narrator change, are we still waiting on a resolution, or do we actually need to repurchase them?
So dungeon diving, the narrator update, you should still have access to the old ones in your library. If you don't, that is a problem, and I would have you reach out to Audible to resolve it. I wish I could do some sort of mass appeal, but I can't. At this point, because there was the narrator change, they refused to move my metadata over, and you do have to repurchase if you want the new ones. I'm kind of against it. I think, well, I can't say anything publicly, but if you do need the new ones and you don't have them, feel free to reach out to me and I'll make everyone whole.
Jared Seiberg asks, as far as Ard's Oath, Ard has always been very snarky, but in book 7, he took it to a whole new level. Is there a reason why?
So I've seen some comments on that, and some of them have passed through Chris to me. Ard has just always been extra, and he's getting extra. I think the main point people seem to have an issue with is him leaving Sienna in the capital. And I think when I wrote it, and the intention there was that he's leaving her behind while giving himself, or he left her behind with his backing, aka if you mess with her, you get the Ard nuke. I don't think there was an intention to make Ard extra snarky in this one, though I did have Ard enjoy the murder mystery aspect of the book, perhaps over much.
Actually, now that Blue's here, this is a great segue into one of the questions.
All right.
All right, so we're going to jump ahead here just 1 second because we have a little visitor. This one is from Ethan Ryan, who said this will be a 2-in-1. The first part I'm going to skip for now because we're going to get to it. But the second part, he says, Bruce, do you have any pets? And if you could have any animal as a pet, what would it be?
Come here. She's too heavy for me to lift up, so Chris is going to have to edit the camera. For those of you receiving Kickstarters, if you do receive some of my dog's DNA, I do apologize. Her hair does kind of get everywhere. But I have a Greater Swiss Mountain Dog. Her name is Blue. She's lovely. She loves it when Chris visits because
She barks at me a lot.
she barks at Chris and then immediately tries to curl up in his lap. It's very mixed signals. And usually we keep her away from the AMA because sometimes she likes to come up and pant into my microphone. But she's being pretty good, and I think she's about to lay under my table. Yeah, she's about to lay under my table for the rest of these signings.
Jumping back to the first part of that question, it was actually for me. Ethan asked, hi, Chris, could you tell us all what your role/position is? Because you work a lot in a lot of places, from the Kickstarter to filming and editing of videos. So I was just wondering what your position/title is and all of what you do so that Bruce can make books that we love to read. Basically, what I like to tell people, Ethan, is that I do everything for Bruce except for write his books. So if it's social media, interacting with you guys on Discord, handling the AMA, designing the books for the Kickstarter, designing books for regular release. I do all the cover layouts. I don't do the art, obviously, as you guys know, Yanni does those, but all of the typefacing, layouts.
Chris's job is essentially to free up as much of my time as he can so I can keep writing at the output that I do. Chris is very valuable.
Let's just jump into the big one here. This one is from Jose Paz the Third. Sorry if I said your last name wrong there. What's up with the Ard's Oath cover change?
Well, I'm actually really happy someone asked this one. So thank you, Jose. There's a lot of things, and so it's like, which one is the top is really the hardest part of the question. Generally speaking, I have hit a point in my career and in my popularity where I'm beginning to be presented to a number of people who aren't regular harem lit or lit RPG readers. This could be for a couple reasons, either because Dungeon Crawler Carl has kind of hit mainstream and that has created a flow into the genre as a whole, or it's because I am just getting more popular and algorithmically I'm spreading out. But what I'm getting largely is confusion on my covers. People who don't understand harem lit and lit RPG walk by in a conference or message me, and I get things like, I thought this was erotica. And I'm like, no, it's not. Thanks for reading, even though you thought it was erotica. They're like, yeah, it's sort of the idea where I'm catching a lot of people who are coming for the sex but staying for the story, coming for the spice and staying for the story. And I'm concerned about the number of readers that I'm disappointing, either because they're coming thinking there's more spice than there is, or people who are avoiding my books because they think they're essentially erotica. To better present myself to this new, more general audience, I'm going to probably shift all of Ard's Oath over to a more general fantasy cover. Dungeon diving likely will come in the future. As for the whole backlist, I am unsure. Secondarily, there are other reasons. For example, I recently was taken out of a daily deal on Audible because of my covers. There's enough interest in my books that people want to use them. However, the not safe for work covers kind of stay in the back of the store, regardless of where you are. So to let myself come to the front of the store, I do have to make my covers more safe for work. The art as a whole, if you guys don't know, I have promised Yanni that I will continue to give him work as long as he wants, and I will always give him work. That still stands. We'll be doing pinup art as part of Patreon going forward. There's no issue with that. And Yanni, I've been working with him on retraining for some of the scenic or other styles that we will try to do for the general fantasy covers.
Also, just keep in mind, changing the covers does not change the content of the story. So the stories that you love will still be told. We're just seeing it as a strategic decision to widen our audience and get some new eyes on the business and Bruce as a whole. All right, so now moving on to Discord questions. Master Whacked, I don't know. Sorry, bud. He asked, or they asked, I should say, do you play any RPG games? If yes, what is your go-to class or party role?
So yeah, I've been a long time Dungeons and Dragons player. I have a group going on 8 years. We are on our third full campaign. We occasionally take breaks and do one shots and things like that. We're on our third full campaign. I would say I'm a little bit of the chaos in the mixture. I have on more than one occasion tried to seduce the dragon or other such shenanigans. Currently, I'm actually a swashbuckler rogue / fighter. And the biggest tragedy that's happened is I got stuck in a ring of truth and was compelled to tell everyone that I stole people's outfits. It's a school setting, and I stole some guy's sweater vest because I showed up washed up on the beach after losing everything to some debt brokers. Or debt brokers is the wrong word. After losing all of my money to collectors.
So this is from Tyrion18457. They asked, unlike some other authors, each of your primary female characters have pretty distinct and separate personalities. Do you have any specific inspirations for these women? And offshoot question, what kind of women can we expect in the upcoming Space series?
How much should I tell about Space series? So the strong women are just fun. Generally speaking, when I write love interests for my books, I really want them to be their own person, have their own motivations, and nothing helps that better than letting them just be strong women in their own rights. Second, I find people love characters like Morgana or Crimson, and they're going to join him on his adventure, so they better be able to pull their weight. As for the Space series, I am fairly certain what I'm going to do for the first character. The first character is likely going to be we'll see how I wordsmith it, but it's going to be a planetary virus. So it's going to be sort of an organism that lives in space and crashes on a planet and highly adaptable to then essentially take over the planet and then launch new ships out. But he's going to make a deal with her and get a spaceship to go into space. That will be the first character. So she will be a living spaceship. Will be the first female love interest for the Space series.
All right, next question is from J McKnight7, who asks, would you ever be willing to write a series that is similar to Halo or Mass Effect?
Halo and Mass Effect are lower power levels than I normally write. And I do think I am leaning a little away from the action naturally and more towards drama. I think after Space series, there's quite literally too many ideas in my head. But I do think I want to write something that is a higher drama. I might write something that is corporate and office related. Yeah, more on that one later. That one's not entirely firm.
So this next question is from Tiny Nustra. They gave us a bunch of questions, but they said several questions here, and if you can't answer them all, I totally get it. So we're going to answer one of them.
All right, Tiny, you got one.
And we are going to focus in on question number 4 in their list, which is, in the off time, like when you're not writing, is there any gaming or media that you tend to follow closely?
Oh, off time. If you guys don't know, I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. Between that and the writing output and the Kickstarter, there's not a whole lot of free time right now. I do read. I continue to read all sorts of fantasy, romantasy. With some of the webcomic stuff, I'm reading more webcomics. Those are fun. And then, of course, I play weekly D&D. Right now, I'm not playing any video games. I do occasionally jump into Path of Exile every time there's a new patch, though.
All right, and our last question for this time is from Blue Eagle 1245, who asked, something I've asked a few times and I've never gotten a full answer or even a half answer. I felt bad for you, Eagle, so I'm throwing you a bone this time. What is Crimson's class in dungeon diving? We know she was labeled as an aberrant in book 1, but since then it has been completely glossed over or ignored.
So as some of you may know, I am a very heavy pantser. I make most things up as I go. There are probably several notes for ideas for Crimson's actual class name, but until I put it in a book, I'm not going to give a straight answer on that one. She does, of course, have a class, but I can't give you an answer today.
It's a secret for now.
Well, thanks everyone for joining me on my Kickstarter edition of the AMA. If you are a Kickstarter, as you can see, they're lovely packaged and they're going out, hopefully, all of them on Friday, and I can have my basement back.
All right. See you guys next time.